Now, several years ago, Hobart and William Smith College's president, Mark Guerin, emailed me just before a visit I was paying to his institution to tell me that he wanted me to meet one of our MCC alums who was at Hobart William Smith. And I was really excited. I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder which one of our students this is. I wonder what his or her major is going to be, what they plan on doing after they leave college. But the reality was that wasn't what he meant at all. And in fact, when I got there, Mark introduced me to the alum he was talking about, and it was the dean of William Smith College, Dr. Cerri Banks. And he said, here's your alum. And I couldn't have been more surprised or delighted to see my expectations really completely upended. In 2011, Hobart and William Smith College's loss was Mount Holyoke College's gain as Dr. Banks joined Mount Holyoke College as the Vice President of Student Affairs and Dean of the college. In her role, she's responsible for the academic and social progress of all students at Mount Holyoke, and it's something she knows a bit about because her position as Vice President and Dean of the college is just the latest step in an extraordinary higher education journey that began when she started classes as an adult student at Monroe Community College's Damon City campus. That's right, Damon. Dr. Banks credits her success in education with her start at MCC, saying that it gave her the opportunities to study with amazing professors while still working full-time to help pay for college. And after MCC, Dr. Banks went on to Syracuse University and earned her bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. Her bachelor's in inclusive elementary and special education, a master of science, and doctorate in cultural foundations of education, and a certificate of advanced studies in women's studies. She's authored 2 books, Black Women Undergraduates, Cultural Capital and College Success, and Teaching, Learning, and Intersecting Identities in Higher Education. Dr. Banks specializes in sociology of education. That's the education faculty right there. Okay, wait, you can all get your youps in. Multicultural education and qualitative research. Come on, there needs to be a shout out for qualitative research. She is committed, there you go, to education reform and issues of inclusion. Now, as you listen to me recount her remarkable journey, and you listen to her speak today, I want all of you to realize that at one point in her life, she was there. She had no idea, as she was an MCC student looking into the future, that she would be inducted into the MCC Alumni Hall of Fame, as she was earlier this academic year. She had no idea that that journey would take her to Syracuse, to Mount Holyoke, and who knows where from that point forward. So it gives me enormous pleasure to introduce to you an MCC alumna, a noted scholar, a dedicated educator, and a fantastic person and friend, Dr. Cerri Banks.
Wow. Good morning. How are you? Good? Excited? Me too. President Kress, members of the Board of Trustees, honored guests, faculty, staff, family, friends, and of course, most importantly, you, the Monroe Community College graduating class of 2013. It is really an honor to be here with you today to celebrate this most important day, and I thank you for inviting me to speak. Today, there are 2,700 of you graduating. You represent all ages, social classes, races and ethnicities, genders, ability levels, and ways of being, thinking, and living. You are the United States of America. and a living example of the beauty of this nation's diversity and the necessity of our work to ensure that everyone has equitable access to the highest levels of education and that everyone is allowed to live their full humanity. Each and every one of you graduates should be so proud of yourselves and all that you have accomplished. Some take completing a college degree for granted, yet you and I know that this is a privilege and a success that many are not able to achieve. We know it takes access, preparation, persistence, determination, and the ability to overcome any number of obstacles to attain this goal. We also know that none of us accomplish this all on our own. I am sure you have heard the expression, "It takes a village." We usually hear that in relation to raising children. Even if you don't agree with that particular adage, we do know that our most successful endeavors are often the result of shared visions, shared investments, and shared labor. So let us take a moment again to thank the friends and family and faculty, staff, and mentors who have been on this journey with you, who have cheered you on, and who have showed their belief in your ability to succeed. Why don't we give them another round of applause? Graduates, I hope that you are uplifted, inspired, and rejuvenated by the presence of all who are here with you today to celebrate. As I was preparing for this speech, I realized that being here at this commencement, for me, represents a moment of coming full circle. Like some of you, I did not attend college right after high school. For 10 years, I worked various jobs, including retail positions, house cleaning, telemarketing, and ironically enough, collecting delinquent student loans for Cerri Banks. It eventually became clear to me that no matter how hard I worked at my many jobs, I would only get minimum pay and minimum responsibility because I did not have a college education. I also wanted to feel like my work made a difference in the world, so I decided to go to college. I knew I had to continue working, and I needed a part-time school schedule that would allow me to do so. I will be forever grateful to the Damon campus, and it was there that I took most of my classes. My time at Damon was not without obstacles. For example, during most of my time taking classes and working, I did not have a reliable car. To be clear, you should know that I worked in Pittsford, went to school in downtown Rochester, and lived in Greece. Any of you who are Rochester natives realize that this means I spent quite a bit of time each day on a bus. It also meant that missing just one of the multiple buses I took each day would throw my whole schedule off track. On one particularly gloomy and rainy day, I stopped at the Wegmans grocery store that used to be in Midtown Plaza, which used to be across from the Damon campus. I should remind you, this was around 1995, and that building no longer exists today. But it was there then. And on that day, I missed the bus that would take me from downtown to a block from where I lived in Greece. As I waited for the next bus, I was so grateful that the rain had stopped, because the bus I was now waiting for would drop me about 6 blocks from home. The bus came, and as we neared my stop, I gathered my book bag, my purse, my grocery bags. When we arrived at my stop, I moved to the door and stepped off of the bus. Just as my foot hit the ground, the rain started again. Not a little drizzle, mind you. Nope. It was as if the heavens opened up and dropped all of the rain it held all at once. I ran to the nearest corner where there was a bar, a closed bar, but it had an awning and I took cover. I was cold, I was tired, I was drenched. I set my bags down on the ground, lowered my head, and started to cry. And let me tell you, it was an ugly cry. I cried because I was wet and cold. I cried about spending so many hours a day on the bus. I cried because one of my grocery bags had broken. I cried because I had not started my English paper or studied my Spanish. I cried because the bar was closed. I cried for every world crisis that came to mind. I'm sure I even cried for some of you, even though I had no idea who you were. It was an ugly cry. Soon, though, I realized that crying was not going to get me home, and I needed to get home. I stopped crying, took a deep breath, picked up my bags, and walked home in the rain. I admit, I thought about giving up that day. I started wondering if the long days and nights, the frustrations, the fears were worth it. And somewhere during my walk, I guess I decided that they were. I knew what I aspired to accomplish. I knew, as my Uncle Darryl would say, I had to keep on keeping on. I know, graduates, that you've experienced days like this. You've probably even had your own ugly cry. But you are sitting in your seat today because you have weathered personal tragedies and professional setbacks. You have bounced back from these challenges stronger, with your dignity and your self-esteem intact, and even more determined to finish what you started. You dreamed, you aspired, you persevered, you prepared, and you have accomplished. Draw on those memories and that strength when you feel overwhelmed and alone, or when you fail. Those times will come. Remember that anything you achieve depends on embracing and overcoming the times you fail. As an alum, I'm grateful for the ways I benefited from the education provided at this fine institution. Monroe Community College helped me envision possibilities for myself that I had not considered, and helped me prepare to accomplish my dreams. It was at MCC that I learned I was a good writer. It was at MCC that I learned how to navigate higher education policies and offices. It was at MCC I learned that I was indeed prepared for Syracuse University. And I credit my education at Monroe Community College and later Syracuse University for altering the course of my life for the good, and for setting me on a course that allowed me to find and pursue my life's work. Like many of you, I'm sure, I like to read, and I get lots of inspiration from books. Recently, I came across a book entitled Noble Purpose: The Joy of Living a Meaningful Life by William Damon, interestingly enough. Damon encourages readers to find something that you truly believe in, something so worth accomplishing that you dedicate yourself to it wholeheartedly, without qualm or self-interest. He calls that something a noble purpose. Now, when we think of nobility, we most often think of monumental, brave, and gallant acts. But listen to how Damon discusses nobility. He states, "Noble does not always mean heroic, if we take heroic to mean pursuing daring, life-endangering adventures. While it can mean this, noble purpose also may be found in the day-to-day fabric of ordinary existence. A mother caring for her child, a teacher instructing her students, a doctor healing patients, a citizen campaigning for the sake of improving society. All are pursuing noble purposes. So too are the legions of people who dedicate care, effort, time, and worldly goods to charity, to their friends and family, and to their communities." To me, this latter discussion of noble purpose feels much more doable, and I like the idea that many of the things we do daily carry nobility. Damon's words prompted me to ask, what would I describe as my noble purpose? In answer, I realize that my commitment to equity and social justice is the lens through which I view the world and the force that drives my work. It is how I measure success and how I record my failures. My choice to spend my life working on issues related to equitable access to education is why I call myself teacher, scholar, activist, and ally. As you can imagine, my commitment is continually challenged and reinforced by my experiences and those of others. Teaching, writing, speaking, mentoring, these things may not seem like monumental and heroic acts, but I see the nobility in the response of students like you, who develop and hone their own sense of equity and use it to find their own noble purpose and life work. In his book, Damon further explains that all purposes are not noble. For example, he says it would not be noble to eradicate world poverty by exterminating people who are poor. I agree. Rather, Damon argues, to qualify as noble a purpose, the why of the deed as well as the how must be guided by a strong moral sense. Finding a notable purpose means devoting ourselves to something worth doing and doing it in an honorable manner. So, graduates of the class of 2013, just when you thought your work here was done, I have one more assignment for you. No moaning and groaning. Just bear with me. Your assignment is this: find and accomplish your noble purpose. Find and accomplish more than one. I'll say that again. Find and accomplish your noble purpose. Find and accomplish more than one. You are being honored today because you have contributions to make to a world that needs your knowledge and your hard work to solve the social, political, and economic challenges that we face, like ending poverty, challenging racism, educating children in equitable school systems, caring for the sick, caring for the planet. I could go on, and I'm sure you have your own list. Ask yourself, what is my noble purpose? What is your passion? Who can you uplift? How can your story and your gifts and your strengths help others? You have achieved this educational accomplishment. What are your next steps? Do not stay neutral. Do not stay idle. Take a stand and decide what you will offer a world that needs so much. Once you decide on that purpose, prepare and persevere to accomplish it in a noble way, not in a haughty, holier-than-thou sense of the word, but rather decide to operate at the highest levels of excellence, goodness, courage, generosity, and honor. On your noble path, proceed with integrity and give others the benefit of the doubt. Be nimble and do not be afraid to alter your course if need be. And in the words of Mona Sutphin, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy to President Obama, who received an honorary degree at Mount Holyoke College 2 weeks ago, don't be a jerk. You have achieved this goal of graduation to prepare you for your next goals, because the work of learning and growing is never done. Be noble in whatever career you pursue, creative project you take on, or next degree you aspire to achieve. Be noble when you play and when you love. I would like to conclude with words of wisdom from Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor from her memoir, My Beloved World. She says, "A student recently posed a question that gave me pause. Given that there are only 9 Supreme Court justices, each with life tenure, can anyone realistically aspire to such a goal? How do we hold on to dreams that statistically are almost impossible?" As I tell in these pages, the dream I first followed was to become a judge, which itself seemed far-fetched until it actually happened. The idea of me becoming a Supreme Court justice never occurred to me except as the remotest of fantasies. But experience has taught me that you cannot value dreams according to the odds of their coming true. Their real value is in stirring within us the will to aspire. And after a time, you may recognize that the proper measure of success is not how much you close the distance to some far-off goal, but the quality of what you have done today. Class of 2013, be proud of what you have done today. Continue to dream, aspire, persevere, and prepare for all that you will accomplish tomorrow. Congratulations again, and thank you for including me in this joyous event.